Yep, it's that time of the year again where the transfer rumour mill is going to start. There's going to be players linked with Wrexham. It's going to be a busy period for the channel because we're going to be talking transfer news nearly every day of the week. It's going to be important, and the first bit of Wrexham AFC transfer news, I've put together a thorough video on this potential signing, so we're just going to be discussing his profile, what he can offer to the team that we might not already have, looking in depth to his stats and looking if he is actually worth the large transfer fee that he's been rumoured to sign for Wrexham for. But before we get going in today's transfer video, make sure to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell on so you don't miss a video on the channel. This is one of the 21 videos of the 21 days, so yeah, I hope you enjoy. It was unexpected. I had one or two slots in the 21 days where I was expecting something to happen, and this is one of them. Today, if you don't know already, we're going to be talking about Saidou Khan. Now, according to journalist Pete O'Rourke, Wrexham are plotting a move for Swindon Town midfielder Saidou Khan for a staggering £350,000, which would make Khan Wrexham's most expensive signing in our history. Now, the interesting point that I just quickly want to say about this is that in the article it said that Wrexham apparently tried to sign Saidou Khan on deadline day, but the deal did fall through. And of course, on deadline day, we did actually sign George Evans from Millwall. Now, the question I'm sort of getting from this is, did Phil Parkinson try and sign two midfielders in that transfer window? But on the other hand, this claim might not be true, because why would Parky leave it so late on in the window and leave it until deadline day to sign two midfielders? So that's a question in itself. Is there truth behind Saidou Khan's deal to Wrexham falling through on deadline day? And was George Evans a backup to Saidou Khan, or were they plotting on getting a move for both? That's the question we want to ask. And could that be a reason why Wrexham are potentially going back in for Saidou Khan? Because Parky originally planned on getting two midfielders in, but of course he was only able to get the one in. Profile on the Swindon Town midfielder Saidou Khan. He's 27 years old. He's had spells at Maidstone, Dagenham and Redbridge, Chesterfield, and of course currently he's playing for promotion chaser Swindon Town. So the majority of his career he spent down south, Maidstone, Dagenham and Redbridge, and of course he got that move to Chesterfield, 39 games, 6 goals, played a huge part in their playoff season. It was only really just sort of kicked on in his career. 27 years old, he's playing at his best now at Swindon Town. And like I said, his career really kick-started with his spell at Chesterfield in the 21-22 season. We all know as Wrexham fans this season Chesterfield did have, they were leading at the top of the table for a long time. That's when Kabongo Shamanga obviously was on fire that season. So he had a good season then, 39 games, playing the majority of the season, being a big part of Paul Cook's midfield. And obviously he got his move to Swindon Town in League 2, where since then he's actually played 52 games in 2 seasons, proving to be a rock in the midfield for Swindon. Now, if we're looking at Khan's sort of style of play, what type of midfielder Saidou Khan is, now if I'm doing it in Wrexham terms, he's more of a James Jones type player than a George Evans or a Tom O'Connor. You know, he's more of a centre midfielder rather than more of an attacking or defensive midfielder. So is that an area that we could possibly be looking at strengthening? You know, that's a question you've got to think. Is Parkinson planning on bringing in more players to add the depth in those positions, and could Saidou Khan be one of those players in one of those positions that he does want to strengthen? Now, he's had an impressive start to the season at Swindon Town. 1,494 minutes played, 17 matches, 17 starts, with an average rating of 7.22. So he's been impressive. He's had an impressive start to the season. He's nearly racked up 1,500 minutes of football, so he's consistently in that starting 11. And if Wrexham are wanting to sign Saidou Khan, we want to be signing him off a fresh start to the season. We want him to have played a lot of games and have got game time experience this season. So if we're signing him, we want to make sure that he's fully up to the task and the challenge ahead, which is of course is promotion to League 1. And I think Saidou Khan would definitely be ready for that. As a midfielder, what we can expect from Saidou Khan is good pass of the ball, breaking up the play, be a good tackler, and possibly be effective in the final third. His stats attacking wise aren't the greatest, you know, of course you don't really expect that from a centre midfielder, but could he develop? Could he become more of an attacking player? Could Parkinson's tactics maybe alter the way that Saidou Khan does play and has previously played? You know, we don't know. There's a lot of questions about this potential signing, but what we can expect, and looking at Saidou Khan's style of play, he's a good tackler, he's a good passer of the ball, and he can break up the play in that midfield, as the stats back up later on in the video. And looking at Saidou Khan's performances this season, he's put 7+ out of 10 performances against Accrington, Mansfield, Stockport County, Notts County, Crewe Alexandra, and he was on 6.8 in that 5-5 draw away at the Mighty Reds. All those teams we just named are teams that are going for promotion. They're promotion chasers, so it's clear to see that he's obviously impressed against teams that have a good midfield, teams of a higher quality. So could that give an indication that he's maybe one of the better midfielders in the league? You know, he's been consistently good against these teams, putting, like I said, 7+ out of 10 performances in. So could this be a glimpse of the type of midfielder he is? Is he a big game player? Is he the player you want in like a promotion run-in at the end of the season? You know, if he's going to give those solid 7 out of 10 performances week in, week out, I have no issue with this going in for Saidou Khan. And like I said, if it's only going to add quality to our midfield, if it's going to add squad depth, once we take over 2024, it's when things start heating it up a bit. But my only issue with this is the price tag. £350,000 is a lot of money to spend on a midfielder who's only really kicked on this season and towards the back end of last year. Could it be a risk? Yes. Is the price tag way too high? Yes, because of course this would make Saidou Khan our biggest transfer in our history, £350,000. But do you expect any less? You know, of course, with it being Wrexham, clubs will obviously be licking their lips at Wrexham coming in for their players because they know that they can demand maybe £100,000, £150,000 more for the players because they know Wrexham have that financial backing, which at the end of the day it does suck, but they're going to do that and we have to live with it. And if we want those key players into our squad, then we've got to pay the high prices for them. But the question is Saidou Khan worth £350,000? From the stats and from the start he's had this season, possibly, but it's a lot of money to be spending on a midfielder considering we have quite a fair few midfielders already. But if he's going to add quality to our squad, then I have no issue in signing him. The only issue is that really, really high transfer fee. And if we're going off what we would pay for Saidou Khan, you know, we can't really comment too much on it. I haven't seen him play an awful lot. Obviously, 90 minutes against Wrexham in that 5-5 draw. I'll be honest, I don't really remember him from that game. I don't remember anything he did in that game because obviously it was such a high-scoring game. It was a game of attacking play more than defensively and in the midfield. But from looking at his stats, he's playing good performances against Notts, Stockport, Crewe, Alexander, Mansfield. He could be a good addition to the squad. And now we're going to be in-depth looking at Saidou Khan's stats per 90 minutes. So we're going to be breaking down his stats per game of football that he does play for Swindon Town. So as I said earlier, we looked at Khan's attributes being, you know, a good passer of the ball, dictating the play in the midfield, breaking up everything, being a good tackler of the ball. Analysing his stats per game backs up everything I've said previously. 56.46 successful passes per 90, 74.7 touches per 90 minutes, a 73.7 tackle win rate. So like I said, he's constantly on the ball, you know, to get the ball from one side to the other. As a midfielder, like we've seen with Saidou Khan's stats, it seems to be that he's addicted to getting on the ball, getting those touches in, getting those passes in, and being that real dictator of the play in Swindon Town's midfield. And like we've seen already, it seems like Saidou Khan has played a big role in their midfield this season. You know, he's put in some good performances and Swindon Town are doing well. They're in the top half of the table. I think they sit 9th at the minute. They've dropped off a tiny bit, but from that start to the season, it seems that Saidou Khan, his performances against the bigger teams have really had an impact on the team. So, you know, like I said, we'd be looking at more of a James Jones type player. And do we need maybe backing up in a position like that? I think we do. I genuinely think we do. We've got Andy Cannon, James Jones. Luke Young, of course, is more of a defensive midfielder. George Evans, Elliot Lee. Jordan Davies can slot back into that midfield role, but you know, he's more of an attacking player and he's wasted, I think, when he's playing anything deeper than centre attacking midfielder. So I have no issue in us bringing in a solid centre midfielder who can do the job like James Jones does, like Andy Cannon does. But of course, the difference is with Saidou Khan, he's already impressed for a fellow promotion chaser this season. So if we are getting Saidou Khan into the team, he's fresh, he's putting some really good performances, and if we can get that over to Wrexham in our midfield, then I'd be more than happy with that. And like I said, overall, I'd be happy with this signing. I don't see any harm in strengthening our midfield, but let's hope we can just get him to something less than 350k, because it is a hefty amount for Saidou Khan. But we're not a non-league anymore. We're not going to be signing players for undisclosed fees. It is going to require a big transfer fee if we want the best players in this league, and Saidou Khan is obviously shown why he is one of the better midfielders in League 2. We're going to have to pay up. We're going to have to pay big transfer fees for these midfielders. We're not going to get away with signing them for 30-40k. So if we are going to get him, we're going to have to pay that price tag. Will that be good in the long term? Hopefully. A lot of Chesterfield fans are saying he wasn't all too great at them. And if we're looking ahead to next season, if we go up to League 1, is he League 1 quality? Is he able to start week in, week out? We don't know that yet. We haven't seen him play a proper game of football or have a good string of games, and I'm sure any Swindon fans could let me know how he does in the comment section down below. So yeah, if I was Phil Parkinson, I'd definitely have Saidou Khan on his radar, but you're going to have to negotiate with something maybe a little bit less than 350k, more looking towards maybe 275, 300,000, but we can only see what happens. Let me know in the comment section down below, would you be happy with Saidu Khan potentially signing for Wrexham AFC? Make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in another video. Take care guys, the town.